Greetings, friends. It's Denise again with Denise's Dancing Paintbrush, and this time I am showing my children's project of this bread clay flower sculpture thing that I have been doing. I've got some old stale bread here, white bread without the crust, and I add white glue and then mix. And you know, when you first start, it looks like, oh, what a mess. It's sticking to your hands and it's dry. I even added a little more glue. It takes about a couple tablespoons per slice of bread if it's dry, and only 1 tablespoon per slice of bread if it's fresh. This is very old dry bread, so I thought, well, I'll just make some clay out of it rather than throw it away. And as you keep kneading it together, you see it makes this lump of dough. It's still a bit dry, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more white glue and mix it together. Now what this does is it creates a really great clay, a no-bake clay that's perfect for children. It's actually edible. You know, you don't really want them to eat glue, but you know that they will. And it's non-toxic. So you can add some non-toxic type coloring to it and they can play away, and it's a no-bake clay. So once it air dries overnight, it's rock hard. It becomes permanent unless you drop it in a bowl of water, and then it kind of turns back into bread. But this is it. This is my clay, and you have to keep it in a plastic bag or it will start to dry right away. So there it is in my bag, and now I'm going to add some color. I'm using watercolors, my Winsor & Newton watercolors, and just adding a dab and then mixing it into the clay. I knead it just like you knead in the glue, you knead in the color. And so I divided those 2 slices of bread into several lumps, and I'm adding color to each lump so that I can make some clay flowers to show you how I do it. So there I've kneaded some yellow, some orange, I need a little green for my leaves. Also, glue, white glue, dries clear. So right now it looks semi-muted in the color. When it dries, the color will be more vibrant, more intense, because the glue is going to dry clear. So what red there looks sort of pink, it will actually look very, very red when it's dry. So now I'm going to pull off a little bit of each of my lumps, and I'm going to make some flowers. What you're not working with immediately, put right back into the bag because it will dry very quickly. Now I'm thinking of chrysanthemums here, so I've mixed some blended colors and I'm trying to roll them into little petals. Cutting them with an X-Acto knife, though you don't have to use a knife. You can cut them with a toothpick or any piece of plastic. Even a credit card would do it. But I had my X-Acto blade there, so I used it. This is really fun to work with. It almost works like the Fimo clay, except Fimo, of course, has to be baked in an oven. And this does shrink about 20%. It shrinks slightly. So I'm making my little chrysanthemum, as you can see there, adding my colors. And it's dry enough that if you add a little glue, it and each of the pieces will stick together. They sort of pull apart if you don't add the glue to make them stick to each other. Pull apart as they dry, I mean. So there's my chrysanthemum, and as you can see, it's got sort of a long handle there, so I cut the handle part off, and now I have a little more clay to work with. Matter of fact, I'd make a little disc and set the flower on top so that I could make a pin out of it if I wanted to. Make a few little leaves, just roll sort of a football shape and then squish it between your fingers, and it makes a very nice leaf. I'm going to make some smaller ones now, and this time I'm just going to cut the ends and roll. That makes a better one, I think, a nice small chrysanthemum. Kind of roll that around. Not bad. Now when I'm making the roses, I pull out a little ball of color, roll it into sort of a marble, and then I squish it between my fingers so I've got a tortilla shape and roll that up like a rolled tortilla. It makes a lovely flower bud. I thought this would make a very nice children's project. This chrysanthemum is probably a little more complicated than the little kindergarten or preschool fingers could handle, but I think the roses work very nice for even a 5-year-old. See, little bud, add another. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my process. And do subscribe and come again. Bye now.